Hello, we're back. We're back, baby. Back, baby. So I was in T's chat and realized that I wanted to talk about something really bad. So I want to talk about Fruit of the Poisonous Tree, which is a reference to a constitutional law doctrine. Well, actually, let me say hi to my friends first. Oh, hi, Hoosier. The doctor, keeping me sane. Last night, I was having a conniption of sorts due to a certain neo-Nazi sympathizing, and my friend here was very affirming, as always, which is really nice. We love a good Seinfeld reference, which I'm realizing means we're old. That's okay. I miss Discord chats too. Oh my god, hi Pop Tardy. My friend. Miss you. Matthew Agrico. Nice to see you. Okay. It's so cozy after 10 o'clock. It's like cozy. There's 12 of us. I kind of dig it. So I found a video. I think it was. The dog is awake now. The dog was asleep, but now the dog is awake. You definitely could rock some New Balance shoes. It's like a dad. It's like a. Do you mean like the New Balance, like the dad white sneakers? You know what I mean? Hi, Jamie. Let me get myself situated since I just gave my senior dog. Oh, he fell right back asleep. So I found a video that I hadn't seen that was quite good in terms of like a recap from the hearings. It's very short. If I can find it. Okay. We are in business. Almost. If anyone in the chat was at the hearings, I know that there's very few that were able to go, understandably. I did find a really great picture of Nick's mustache too. All right. Not the New Balance shoes. Okay.
Who has treated him while he's been behind bars, and also a detective who's been listening to the phone calls that he's made. Emily Longnecker was in court today and joins us now. Emily?
Well, today we heard all about statements that Richard Allen's psychologist and police say that he has made in prison while awaiting trial. According to the state, Allen has confessed over 60 times to different people that he killed Libby German and Abby Williams. Now, Allen's defense team says he made those confessions after a psychotic breakdown because of how he was being treated in custody, and they do not want a jury to hear about those confessions during trial. It's up to Judge Francis Gall to decide if a jury will. Investigators testified Tuesday since his arrest, Richard Allen's made at least 670 phone calls. All of them, except the ones to his attorneys, have been recorded and monitored by investigators. ISP Detective Brian Harshman testified that in calls Allen made to his wife and mother, he confessed to killing Abby and Libby, including details that only a person involved with the crime would know, and offered a motive. According to Harshman, Allen's confession started in April 2023, a month after Allen started reading the Bible and said he'd found God and Jesus. Harshman said most of Allen's confessions came then over the next 3 months, slowing down in July. That's the same time period Allen's psychologist, Dr. Monica Walla, testified Allen's mental health was, quote, extremely poor, critical, and deteriorating, saying there was, quote, no doubt he had serious mental would know, and offered a motive. According to Harshman, Allen's confession started in April 2023, a month after Allen started reading the Bible and said he'd found God and Jesus. Harshman said most of Allen's confessions came then over the next 3 months, slowing down in July. That's the same time period Allen's psychologist, Dr. Monica Walla, testified Allen's mental health was, quote, extremely poor, critical, and deteriorating, saying there was, quote, no doubt he had serious mental illness around that time, brought on by stress. Dr. Wallace said Allen spent much of his time in solitary confinement, something that could have contributed to his deteriorating mental health, recalling Allen repeatedly slamming his head into the walls and door of his cell, leading staff to make a decision to inject him with drugs to calm him down. Walla also told the court she helped Allen call his wife in May 2023 and stepped out of the room. When she came back in, Walla said Allen asked to call his wife again so he could confess, telling Walla, quote, I want you to hear this so you can understand. When he got off the phone, Walla said Allen told her, quote, she doesn't believe me. Allen's defense team doesn't want a jury to hear any of Allen's confessions, claiming they were coerced because of the conditions Allen was living under, including, they say, harassment from other inmates who monitored and reported his behavior, and near constant solitary confinement they believe led to Allen's mental breakdown. So this was a full day of arguments on both sides about whether a jury should hear about Allen's confessions during trial. They will sum up their final arguments on that matter in the morning. After that, we can expect a full day of testimony on yet another motion. The state wants to limit what Allen's defense team can say to a jury regarding possible alternate suspects and motives during the trial. The defense says those kind of limitations on what they could say would violate Allen's constitutional rights. In Delphi, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
So this hearing is expected to wrap up tomorrow. We'll be in court covering all those.
That was the first time I saw Dr. Walla. I don't know. I don't know if, she had a lot of officers around her, which is interesting. I don't know. I don't have much to say about it, I guess, other than that. But I did find that particular coverage to be pretty psychosis heavy, which is obviously not something that we've seen with like all of the coverage across the board. It seems like a lot of the news stations have been maybe a little bit reluctant to talk about that. I don't know. Next thing. So I'm going to really quick run through why I believe, and Michael and a couple other people believe, Brad Rosie and Andrew Baldwin believe, Jennifer Auger believe that all of the statements made by Richard Allen while in the custody of the Department of Corrections should be inadmissible. And I'm going to start with we've all seen this document. I have like ad nauseum shown this document, but I want to show it again. So here is our April 5th, 2023 emergency motion to modify safekeeping order filed by Rick Allen's attorneys. And this was filed the day after they were made aware or the day after they went to visit. Wait a second. Oh, I see. Okay, never mind. Hi, Anne Marie Robinson. That's a pretty name. Hi, Stephen. Stephen. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. So, April 4th, 2023, the day after the defense went to visit Rick because they had been informed by his wife, Kathy, that he was psychotic, basically, losing his mind. And they filed this motion requesting that the court modify the safekeeping order that Dinersaurus ordered on November 3rd, 2022, mere minutes before recusing himself forever from the case. So, going back to the beginning, on or about October 28th, 2022, Mr. Allen was charged with 2 counts of murder. The bond was set at $28 million. On November 3rd, 2022, prior to counsel being assigned to Mr. Allen, definitely not referring to you, by the way, and it's nice to see you here. Hello. No, I have a specific weirdo stalker in mind, and it's certainly not you. Okay, let me keep going. Within the Indiana Department of Corrections, as designated by the Commissioner of the DOC, suitable for his safekeeping. All decisions regarding Mr. Allen's detention were made prior to counsel being assigned to Mr. Allen to speak on his behalf. No formal hearing regarding the sheriff's safekeeping requests have ever been conducted as of the date of this filing. Meaning, here is our famous timeline that we've also already showed a million times. So, the safekeeping order is issued on November 3rd, 2022. However, we know from going through the filings and very carefully looking at Mr. Allen's, I don't know if this link works. I don't think it does. Okay, that's all right. Mr. Allen's undated letter that he sent to the Carroll County Circuit Court pleading for an attorney. This is when he threw himself at the mercy of the court, if we remember that. It's a very sad letter. Very just like full of, you could just feel like the desperation and fear. So his letter is mailed at least before November 1st. So that means it could have been written and mailed the 28th, like 29th, 30th, 31st of October, because it arrived in Indianapolis at the U.S. Post Office on November 1st, 2022. And that letter was sent from the White County Jail where Mr. Allen was being held. On that envelope is, I wish that I could fucking pull this letter up. I'll do it in a little bit. On that envelope is a stamp with a barcode on November 1st. That letter goes back to the White County Jail. It does not get sent to the Carroll Circuit Court. And that is because there was a mail stop ordered for Mr. Allen's mail. Given that Rick had never been in jail before and had never been incarcerated. Thank you. That's helpful. I always like having local-ish people in the chat because, okay, so it takes 1 day for mail to get to Indianapolis once it leaves its local facility. So that means that he would have sent this letter on October 31st, the day that Doug Carter and the Unified Command Task Force told the world that Richard Allen, in no uncertain terms, killed Abby and Libby. And put a big picture of his fucking face up on the screen. So I would probably be writing a letter throwing myself at the mercy of the court and anyone else who would listen too. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So, despite the fact that Mr. Allen had no attorneys, he did not have counsel from the time that he authored that letter on the 31st until at least 2 weeks later. In the span of that time, the sheriff issues a safekeeping order, or a safekeeping motion. He files one with the court, which we know was actually authored by Benjamin Diener, as testified to by Sheriff Lesenby during one of the hearings. I believe during the June 2023 hearing, maybe. And then the most recent deposition, I think he said that. And then the judge, Benjamin Diener, despite the fact that Rick was without counsel, orders, Rick to DOC custody under safekeeping. This document, by the way, Judge Diener's order granting the safekeeping order, was created around 10 a.m., 30 minutes after Lesenby filed his request. Judge Diener recuses himself from the case. On that very same day, Jerry Holman gives the RDC, which is the central office for DOC, I forget, regional, I don't know what it's called, orders the conditions of his detention, 24/7 surveillance in his cell, suicide watch restrictions and protocols. Frangel is assigned to the case the day after Rick is put into safekeeping. And she does not appoint attorneys to Mr. Allen for 10 days. Hey, Rebecca Ann, welcome back. So for 10 days, Rick is without attorneys, even after Judge Francis Gull is appointed. I don't know what that's about, but I'm glad that he got him eventually. And the letter that Rick mailed on the 31st of October was not received and entered by the Carroll Circuit Court until the 9th. So it took 10 days for that letter to get from White County to Carroll County. It's not far. So that's just what I wanted to cover in terms of safekeeping. I started to talk about this with Michael and Travis, and then there was just so much to talk about. I feel like it got maybe a little bit, I got lost in the sauce, but I want to talk about safekeeping. I know you're going to be so tired of hearing me say that word, but it's important. All right. This is the motion that the sheriff filed that we know was mostly authored by the judge. So Judge Diener authored and then ruled on his own safekeeping motion. Potential safety and security concerns exist. Potential safety and security concerns exist. This is correct. So originally, Rick was wanting to hire private counsel, and very quickly, I'm sure, realized how impossibly and excessively expensive that is to even talk to an attorney. He even wrote that in his letter. And we don't know what happened those first 2 days, but for some reason, they made it very difficult for him to communicate with anyone that he needed an attorney. So I don't think that was an accident. Notice that there are no specific safety and security concerns provided here by the sheriff. He just says that there's potential safety and security concerns because it's a high-profile case. Okay. Because of the aforementioned reasons, which, by the way, he didn't provide any. All he said was that this is a high-profile case. That's literally the only thing. It's high-profile, and that makes me nervous. I'm nervous. And because of that, I can't provide the services or attention or supervision necessary to protect and meet his needs. Again, so the remedy in the safekeeping statute for a county sheriff or jail not having adequate resources or infrastructure to house an inmate is not a reason for a safekeeping order. It's not one of the components that must be met or the criteria that have to be met. So that's not a reason. Pursuant to Indiana Code, and here's the code. I respectfully request the court an order approving the transfer of the defendant to DOC. They have already agreed to accept custody of him. And we knew that because we knew already on October 28th, 2022, the DOC was the safekeeping. I didn't even know what safekeeping was, but I have a message with Russ McQuaid on October 28th that says Sheriff Lesenby says safekeeping DOC. I was like, huh? I don't know what that means. That meant nothing to me at the time. Okay, so this is the code that Tobe cites. And this is emergency transfer of certain jail inmates. Inmates in county jail in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death, or represents substantial threat to safety of others. Upon a motion by the sheriff, attorney, defendant, counsel, or AG, or court, alleging that an inmate in the jail awaiting trial is in danger of serious bodily injury or death, or represents a substantial threat to safety of to others, the court shall determine whether the inmate is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death, or represents a substantial threat to others. If the court finds that the inmate is in danger of serious bodily injury or death, it shall order the sheriff to transfer the inmate to another county jail or to a facility of the DOC designated by the DOC commissioner suitable for the confinement. Notice it says jail. There was no reason for Rick to be transferred to DOC custody. And we know that they didn't even try to find accommodations for Rick in a county jail facility, which would have been the only appropriate setting for a pretrial defendant. They went straight to DOC. So he cites this. None of this is true. The court has to find, there has to be a showing, and then the court will find, based on that showing, that there exists imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. I don't know why I can't say that. And all he said was like, oh, I'm a little nervous about this. And then he says, as provided by this code, which is the same code, different subsection, I'll be responsible for transporting him. Didn't they say one of the reasons they needed safekeeping was because they didn't have the resources and capacity to transport him? I'm very confused about that. So when an inmate's transferred, the sheriff shall be responsible for transporting to and from the other facility. If he's unable to, the sheriff can request assistance from other law enforcement. Yes, the reason they needed him in DOC is because they needed more to ensure they got confessions. Hello there. So then, we've also read this a million times, but Diener Wiener. Here's his court order. Entered 30 minutes after the motion is filed. The court being duly advised finds the defendant is an inmate awaiting trial and is in imminent danger. We don't know how he found that. He just found it. There was no showing there was no proof offered. There was no burden on the sheriff or state to prove that Rick was in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. And actually, Benjamin Diener, the Honorable, even says outright, this finding is not predicated on any acts or alleged acts of the defendant since the arrest, rather on a toxic and harmful insistence on public information about the defendant and this case. This finding is not predicated on any acts or alleged acts. This finding is not based on anything. this finding is based on the fact that the public is annoying me, asking me for info about this defendant. And what if they get really impatient? And what if they get really mean? And what if an angry mob forms demanding that we release the PCA? So that's not a safekeeping reason. In general, this court has 30 days to rule on any motion filed by a party. Yet, concurrent to the actual case naturally occurring, this judicial officer keeps getting direct requests from non-parties for public information, claiming that this officer has 7 days or 1 day when hand-delivered to respond to requests or face litigation. Have we ever seen this before in an order? I can't highlight it. I've never seen an exclamation point. It's weird. Like not in a court order. This Yelp reviewer, he's a Yelp reviewer. He really is. He's like the silliest Yelp reviewer. I was saying yesterday, according to if Judge Diener was not such a clear and present danger to the safety and due process and freedom and life, survival and wellness and aliveness of people around him, he would be by far the funniest character in this entire saga. He's hilarious. Except he's not, because he's terrifying. So the public's bloodlust for information before it exists is extremely dangerous. All public servants administering this action don't feel safe and are not protected. He's such a drama queen. Oh my gosh, I wish Courtney was in here. Last night she sent me the funniest gif of my life. I'll have to find it. Diener's like, shield me from this storm. Shield me. Okay. The public's bloodlust for information before it exists is extremely dangerous. I don't know what that means. We still don't know what that means. Does that mean that there is no PCA yet? It doesn't exist? That's weird. That's suspicious. The Carroll County Sheriff has limited resources to conduct its base operations, let alone any duties mandated by the court. All defendants in all actions are presumed innocent. Okay. All public information will be available the second it exists. Will it? None of the family members of the public servants are part of this. Like, none of the, like, get a hold of yourself, dude. All right, he goes on and on and on. The defendant indicated at his initial hearing an intention to hire counsel. He's reminded he must retain counsel within 20 days. Here's the problem. He asked you for counsel 3 days ago, and you motherfuckers didn't get his letter because you put a fucking mail stop on his fucking mail, so he can't even ask you for an attorney. So that's weird. You're reminded he's entitled to court-appointed counsel, and the defendant will be examined upon request, unless, of course, defendant's request is hampered by a mail block and a shuffle between county and state facilities. The court notes for the public that when the defendant appeared for the initial hearing, he was clad in protective gear. That was not to protect him from the court. That was to protect defendant from the public. Then Sheriff Lesenby, now Sheriff Liggett, and Warden Gallup, who all stated in their sworn testimony that there were never any threats to or against the defendant or the facilities where he was housed. Never. Never, 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 never. Never. Not once did anyone threaten Rick or the facility holding Rick. Until a finding of guilt or judgment of conviction occurs in any case, judgment must be reserved and the presumption of innocence must be preserved and respected. So why are you sending him to the Department of Corrections? I don't know. All right. The defendant is actually entitled to notice when it comes to safekeeping. Believe it or not, the defendant is entitled to notice regarding everything. every order that is issued in his case, he's entitled to notice. Unless, of course, you kept him from him getting an attorney, you don't even probably worry about notifying him. You can't notify his attorneys because he doesn't fucking have any. Oy. And the last thing. Actually, I don't think I need to show that one. Okay. I want to look at the most recent read my comments. Oh my god, you're so bossy tonight. Was the shock belt protecting Rick from the public? It's a good question. It wasn't protecting him. They want us to know that the shock belt and the chains were not protecting Rick from the court. Like, who would have thought that it was? That's a weird thing to say, Benny. Diener knew that Rick was not going to be able to afford counsel. I also think that's true. Lowlight. Hi, Lowlight. Everyone go check out Lowlight on Rumble. He says, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I think someone's lying. I think that's fair. Diener is entitled to no diss of him being a... Well, so yes, Rick has gotten perpetual threats within DOC from other inmates, taunting him, calling him a baby killer, telling him that they're going to rape his wife, horrible things. And yeah, they still, for some reason, want us to believe that DOC is the safest place for Rick to be, or was the safest place for Rick to be. Thank you for reading my comments. That's very kind of you. Well, I am very kind. Dr. NB wants to know, I mean, do the inmates realize that Rick is just not that dude? Probably not. I mean, I don't know. They're probably all just kind of, I don't know. I don't know, one way or another. I know that certain inmates were running their mouth to their family members, though, about information they shouldn't have had in the first place. So there's been a lot of conversation had about the recent interlocutory motion to certify court order for interlocutory appeal. Hi, Mama. Mandy. Handy Mandy. Handsy Mandy. I want to look at it again because I think there's been, I don't know if it's I think that maybe I want to give a little bit more credit to Rick's attorneys, not because I simp for them and not because they possess all my nudes, but because they have been banging the drum of due process and safekeeping since at least April 2023. And they've brought it up so many times. I'm going to read All Eyes' version because it's easier to read, I think. Does everyone know how to find this, by the way? If you don't, DB, can you drop All Eyes' WordPress? I always get the link wrong. If you don't have it, I'll do it. So this is stupid. Oh, okay. This is the motion for court to certify this is the interlocutory appeal that is causing, oh my goodness, so much conversation. So I just want to find the part where they talk about safekeeping. Here we go. Furthermore, As to the alleged confessions of defendant, the defense contends the court's order denies him his 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments rights under the U.S. Constitution and his constitutional rights under Article blah, blah, blah of Indiana Constitution. So, okay. We'll come back to those. The court's orders involve substantial questions of law. I want to skip to okay. On November 3rd, 2022, Judge Benjamin Dienersor issued a safekeeping order, which resulted in defendant Allen's immediate transfer to a maximum security Indiana Department of Correction confinement facility, wherein he was detained in solitary confinement for a period of nearly 13 months. Everybody hear that? 13 months. It's a long time. Defendant Allen was not afforded a due process hearing regarding his detention until June 2023. Nearly 8 months after he was locked away in solitary confinement. Throughout the course of his defendant Allen's detention, the state of Indiana began offering up discovery in the form of incriminating statements made by Allen to prison guards, inmate companions, the warden, his treating psychologist, and his family members. DB just linked this incredible resource that All Eyes on Delphi has created. It has literally the entire history of the case, motions in order, with little blurbs and descriptions and links and all the stuff that you need to be informed. Hi, Michael Miller. Welcome. My question is, how is the Supreme Court of Indiana allowing this to proceed? I wish I knew. They had one chance so far to correct the issue, and they did they literally did the dumbest thing that they could have possibly done. It would have actually made more sense for them to deny all of the defense's requests, or all of the requests in the original actions. Like, don't reappoint the defense that the judge just removed and keep the judge on, right? That makes no goddamn sense, because then what will happen is we'll still fucking be in the same spot in 10 or 11 months later, which is exactly what's happening. So I don't know. I don't know whether, I don't know. I have very little faith and confidence in the Indiana Supreme Court or in the Indiana anything, honestly. Defendant Allen moved to suppress the admissibility of said statements on the basis that those statements were involuntary and thus obtained in violation of his 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights under U.S. Constitution and under the Indiana Constitution. So here we go. 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights were violated. I mean, that to me looks like that's what more do they need to say in a motion to certify before a judge when they know she's literally going to deny it anyway? It wouldn't matter what they said. They could have filed a 150-page motion about all the ways that it wouldn't have made a difference. So on August 28th, the court issued an order denying the defendant's request to suppress statements and held in totality. The statements given by the defendant were not coerced, were voluntary, and were not the result of interrogation of the state nor its actors, nor the product of his confinement. So I was hearing Michael was saying that they shouldn't be arguing coercion. They shouldn't be arguing coercion. I don't know what you're asking me. Okay, well, that's fair, but they're also arguing that his environment, the environment that the state literally created for him, produced and facilitated and elicited these statements because it produced and elicited his psychosis. So the All Eyes CCS is great because it's complete. It's like super great. It's really good. It's also awesome and nice. I don't know what specifically you're asking me. It's comprehensive. It encapsulates the case from beginning to present. It's really nice. It's really cool. It is really cool. It's great. It's really good. Handsy Mandy Bay agrees. Okay, so the issues that need to be addressed are: was Richard Allen denied his right to due process under state and federal conditions when he was detained in solitary without having been afforded a timely hearing on the state's motion for safekeeping? Yes, the All Eyes on Delphi resource in the State versus Richard Allen case encapsulates All Eyes as a person in that it's really nice and really smart and really thorough and very detailed and very snarky. It says things like dipshit, but it's also very classy. Minimal profanity. Actually, I don't know if she says dipshit in the resource. She might not. Rick Allen is being framed. Oh, hi, Jill. The lesson here is never fucking ever talk to the police because they don't give a rat's ass about you and they don't want your help. The only thing a criminal or an innocent person has to do is shut the fuck up. That's a great point. That's wonderful advice. Okay, so this first question has to do with safekeeping. Here's the problem that I keep that I'm finding with safekeeping. And I'm sure that there's attorneys, because I don't know shit about fuck. I'm not an attorney. Hi, Mar. I haven't seen Mar in a minute. Actually, that's not true. You were in I saw you in T's chat. But hi again. I love you. Hi, Handy. Classy snark is hot. But what if you're innocent? Should you talk to the cops? Depends. Do you want to spend the next 30 to 60 years in a steel box? I ain't seen Mar in a Mar night. Yeah, no way. No freaking way. No, thank you. I agree with you, Jill. So, pause, because safekeeping is interesting in Indiana in that, much like everything else in the state of Indiana, pretty vague and pretty open to like discretion of judge and open to interpretation and like I'm sorry I'm clicking so much. I need a different mouse. This one's really loud. I'm told it's annoying. Bastard McClellan. What if I'm a good boy? The cops won't twist my words, right? Definitely not. Definitely not. They would never do that to you or anyone. DB is... he's definitely something. He's something else, all right? You're going to send me a mouse? Okay. I want it to be 3D printed and ergonomic, silent, and I don't know what else I need. I'll let you know my specifications soon. Where is this folder? Here it is. Hi, Catastrophe. You're never late. Put my address in the chat. You could just warrantless ping it, ping my phone for it if you want. So the best I could find for safekeeping. I think I tried to share this the other night. But the two attorneys who are brilliant and had way more to say than I did, so I think it's fine, but we didn't really get to cover it. So I have a very hot face tonight. Is anyone else's face hot? I'm told that if your face is hot, it means somebody's talking shit. Can't imagine. I mean, that never happened, so I don't know. Okay, this is the Indiana criminal, criminal law and procedure, Article 33. Preliminary motion, preliminary proceedings, Chapter 11, emergency transfer of certain jail inmates in county jail in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death, or represents substantial threat to safety of others. Upon a motion by the sheriff alleging that they are in danger of serious bodily injury or death, or represents a substantial threat to the safety of others, the court shall determine whether there is imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. I do have rosacea all the time. Hi, Queen Elsa. Not it. DB says he's not talking shit. I don't know. Mar has a hot face always. Pop Tardy is probably right. It's probably not anything fun. It's probably just rosacea. So usually with heavy charges, they put you on suicide watch automatically for 72 hours. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, so this is the statute. This is what we've got for safekeeping in Indiana. The court shall determine whether or not there's an imminent danger. And we know that the sheriff said there's not. There's just potential for stuff. And the judge said there's not. This is not based on anything that the defendant did or anything that it actually exists. It's just based on bloodlust. What bloodlust? Give us an example, Benjamin. Give us an example of a threat, or not even just a threat, because a threat's not enough. Like a little Dutchman in Amsterdam in his mom's basement could send a threat to the Carroll County Sheriff about Rick Allen. That doesn't mean that Rick Allen is in imminent danger or that the sheriff is in imminent danger. Yes, correct. But the question, I think, is, does that really rise to the level of imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death? And then, if the court finds that they are in danger of such, they can order the sheriff to transfer the inmate to another county jail or a facility. So why DOC? I need more on this. Like, this is really leaving a lot to be desired. The inmate or receiving authority is okay, this is important. Here it is, pretty fucking clear to me. The inmate or receiving authority is entitled to a post-transfer hearing upon request. The inmate may refuse a safekeeping transfer if the only issue is his personal safety. So even if the court decided legitimately, based on actual evidence, not just bloodlust, that there was a safety risk to Rick Allen because of the bloodlust, he could still refuse a transfer. And regardless, he was entitled to a hearing. I guarantee you they never gave him that option. And he didn't know that because he didn't have a fucking attorney when they did this. So that is pretty clear to me. Like, that's pretty fucking black and white. How did Rosie say it in his... I don't know what federal safekeeping would even mean here. I didn't do my homework before I started this live, but I will for next time. Were his rights to due process under this at least state? Okay, so we already know that his rights to due process were violated under state constitution because they didn't offer him a hearing and he wasn't given the opportunity to object, to refuse safekeeping. Period. B, did the effects of defendant Allen's extended solitary confinement render statements made by him to all of the people, involuntary and therefore inadmissible. They're not arguing coercion here. This is not a coercion argument. This is just involuntary. Involuntary can mean coercion. Certainly coercion would fall under the involuntariness umbrella. But he didn't say coercion. He said involuntary, meaning if I am gravely disabled due to severe mental illness and I am diagnosed with psychosis, so sure, nobody's physically forcing me to confess or make statements, but I'm not in the driver's seat. The statements cannot be. It's just, I cannot believe that this is even a question. A person in psychosis cannot voluntarily make like they're protected against. They should be protected against self-incrimination. Like, it's insane that we're even having that she even issued an order like this, so broad. But were the statements allegedly given by defendant Allen to the psychologist privileged? Let's see. Except as otherwise provided by the statute, the following person shall not be required to testify regarding the following communications. This is a good question. Catastrophe says, how can we find out how many guilty pleas involve jailhouse confessions? Jill says, nah, girl, Rick didn't get any hearings. Rick didn't get no hearings. They already decided. I agree with you. For sure. Okay. Except as otherwise provided, the following person shall not be required to testify regarding the following communications. Attorneys, physicians, as to matters communicated to them by patients in the course of their professional business. Clergymen. Interesting. Well, where's the letter that he allegedly wrote? So it's not in debate that he got no hearings necessarily. What's in debate is was the deprivation of hearing, and not allowing him to even refuse or decline or object to the safekeeping transfer. Was that a violation of due process? And it looks like in Indiana, at least, it certainly looks like it is. Because they didn't give him a hearing, and he was entitled to one, and he didn't have an attorney, and he was entitled to one, and he had been asking for one. From their hearings. And yeah, this is wild. Notice that of all the people. So look, these motherfuckers, I'm sorry, these motherfuckers literally found loopholes and slimy fucking snaky ways to violate every single one of these subcategories. Ready? Pop off. Number one, attorneys, as to confidential communications made to them in the course of their professional business. Well, they were filming his fucking attorney meetings. Wow. That's a violation. Two, physicians. Walla. They were literally going to his visits, his doctor, medical, and psych visits. 2 guards were in the room with him. That's not allowed. 3, clergymen. We keep hearing about him writing a letter to the fucking chaplain or something. Why do we know about that? And where the fuck's the letter? And what the fuck's up with the chaplain, clergy person, whoever he or she was? And husband and wife. Well, they sure as fuck got Rick talking to Kathy on a recorded line, even though he was psychotic at the time. And they sure as fuck stood in the room with him in a quiet visitation room with nobody else there, 2 feet away, depriving them of water. Every single person that would otherwise not be required to testify, whose communication with Rick should and would have been privileged, i.e., the state doesn't get to know about it, and if they know about it, they shouldn't, and if they do, they can't use it. However, they have managed to violate every fucking one. The fix is in. That's so fucked. Okay. Next part. I know I got on a lot of tangents. This is just maddening, man, you know? And now I lost. Oh, here it is. Okay. I agree with this too, but then I'm also confused. So Huda says, Gull wants this trial to be done so that she doesn't have to deal with it anymore. I agree with that. I think that she thought she'd be done in March 2023. But if that's true, why won't she just fucking recuse herself? Like she wants it to be done and over with and behind her, but she also has a stranglehold on it. She refuses to let it go because she wants to be the one. It's just like a pathological control problem or something. I'm going to just not go all the way to like, yeah. It's just crazy. It's just really nuts. Like, you don't have to be doing all that, Fran. Like, you can stop. No one will hold it against you. I would argue that it's like, it would be the most noble thing for her after all of this to be like, you know what? I'm good. Like, I've had enough. Like, no one would fault her for that. But narcissists don't think that way. The state is all about the bullshit and the fuckery. It's so true. Bet Gold thinks the hurricane was all about her. Oh, is everybody safe? I heard there was a hurricane. I hope everybody is safe in the Midwest. Turtle Boy judge recused himself in 5 seconds. Yeah, why would a judge, like, they don't want to mess with this. And also Judge Newman, when the question arose of jury, like, improper influence or whatever, when they were going to go back before Judge Newman to determine whether or not he would get, I don't remember, it was one of the very first hearings that after his conviction that arose due to possible jury influence. And Judge Newman recused himself immediately. He was like, I don't want it. I don't want it. Maybe I could do it. He could probably do it without being biased. I don't know. He's a good judge. But he was like, why bother? Why even go there? I don't want it. Because he's a good judge. And he's a confident judge. And he's like secure. He doesn't have to like prove anything to a bunch of people that don't like him. So anyway, back to Rosie. Here it is. Okay. Okay, so we're now wondering, were the statements made to Dr. Walla privileged? The order involves a substantial question of law that could be resolved on appeal. His incriminating statements stemmed from a most unique detention circumstance. Allen nor his counsel were given no choice in the matter. This is when I stood up last time. I don't know why my camera does this. It's like I start moving around too much and it gets nervous. Okay. Defendant Allen's incriminating statements stem from his circumstances. The issue of first impression here is whether or not his due process rights were violated. Does the safekeeping statute require the court to conduct a hearing? This is important. Defendant Allen is unaware of any rulings in the state of Indiana that address this issue. It's never happened before. Which is probably why it's like, was so easy for them to use this loophole and violate it. I don't know. And if the Court of Appeals were to find that his due process rights were violated, then the admissibility of his statements and all other evidence stemming from his wrongful detention would be inadmissible. No wonder, yeah, I think no wonder the state objected to the motion to certify, because all of their, all of the evidence, quote unquote evidence that they had against Rick would be garbage. I'm going to turn this off for a second. So let's see. Going back to, they are terrified. Yeah, that's a good question. Anecdotally, Gola has always been a jerk, but I wonder how long she's been this incompetent. I don't know. And I don't want to, you know, be irresponsible and like opine about someone, you know, that I don't know, but it's just weird that like she's like late, she's like lazy, she's doing it, just like she's giving, I don't even want to say it, she's giving like unmanageability is what I will say. Her life appears to me to be unmanageable in the context of she can't do her job appropriately or adequately or sufficiently, and I don't know why. I don't really fucking care why though. Like, that's none of my business. Like, it's none of our business why. She just can't. Maybe, yeah. I'm wondering, like, maybe some kind of fucking cognitive decline or something. But again, like, okay, no one's gonna fault her. When she got, she was, like, hospitalized in, what the fuck was that? It was before the Supreme Court. It was before the original, like, before oral arguments, but after... I think Fiend is at like something like I think he had like a thing to attend. I know that he's alive and well, is what I will say. Okay. This is gonna drive me crazy. How do I get my camera to stop being whack? Shake it, smash it, bop it, twist it, pull it. Did that work? Fiend is at the Electric Werecat conference. Yes, he is. And he can't tell us about it because they can't have electronics because, well, we know how Werecats feel about electronics. Actually, we don't really know how they feel about electronics. We just have a hunch about how they feel about electronics. Okay. So, back to this. This is kind of bananas to me when I knew that I was unable to find comparable, like, similar instances where the safekeeping issue had been brought up and challenged in a similar way anywhere in Indiana. And the reason, I guess, for that is because this never fucking happened. Catastrophe says 11/21/2023 is when the Gull Media blasts the backdate hospital stay, which actually occurred on November 2nd. Yeah, isn't it interesting that they waited 20 days to report on her hospitalization? She was back to work already when they started reporting on it. Which is why I know a lot of us got dragged to hell and back for giving the media a hard time for how they reported on that. Fine. That was some bullshit. That was some PR bullshit, slimy, face-saving, public manipulation fuckery, if I've ever seen it. Like, they really do be fucking hating the public in Indiana, huh? Like, who do you work for? I'm not an Indiana citizen or Indiana resident, so whatever, I guess they don't owe me shit. But, like, if I lived in Indiana, I'd be really pissed about all this shit. Especially if I lived in Carroll County, where their tax rate is already the highest it can be, period. They can't raise it anymore. They're already taxing the fuck out of their residents. In Carroll County, the wealth disparity in Carroll County is insane. It's insane. So, yep, and then Okay, so this is actually really helpful. I want to put this on the timeline catastrophe. You mind if I do that really quick? I mean, I don't think y'all mind. So here's what we're gonna do. Because I love dates. So let's go to, ouch. November 21st. And we're going to call this, what did you call it, my friend? Media blast backdate judge. Oh, wait, no. Backdate hospital day. Which means we also want to add judge goals apparent hospitalization for something. Do we know what it was? Was it cardiac? I don't even know if they said. They just said a hospitalization. But like, okay. Okay. That's so funny. No way. So the day after the in-camera hearing, aka the secret in-chambers ambush occurred, is released. The transcript of the ambush is released. She's like, I'm really sick. It's so stupid. Girl. Like, God. Okay, so then we've got 20th, 2023. That was the 19th, right? Yeah, I agree with this. Okay. I'm going to finish this document, I promise. For some thingy. She's hospitalized for some thingy. I didn't even share this tab. I'm so sorry. 20 and 21. Look at that. That is just remarkable. It's like, man. Beautiful. Catastrophe, I'm going to message you on X afterwards and exchange our... Pop-Tart, he said, I was just thinking she had her gallbladder removed, and then I realized I definitely made that up. I mean, hey, I do it all the time. Hi, woman. There is a lot of coordination going on in the back for sure. Okay. Back to Defense Daddy Rosie. They love the Defense Daddies. Yeah. No shit. Gallstones. Woman, why do you feel abandoned? Because Fiend's not here? Because DB's not here? Why? The whole gang's just fucked off this week, huh? Her gallbladder. Okay. Hey, Landscape. Welcome to the impromptu late night live. So, it's like Beetlejuice, woman. You speak of the devil, he shall appear. if the court were to find in defendant Allen's favor regarding the safekeeping due process violations, then all of his statements and anything else obtained would be inadmissible, i.e., Fruit Loops of the poisonous fruit tree. So I guess, as I understand it, we've been hearing that they could have gone a little further with their motion to certify. They could have included blah, 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 blah. I'm sure all of that's true. I'm also certain, will bet my life on it, because it's just true. Like, it wouldn't matter. She had no intention. She in a billion years never would Judge Gull ever grant certification of an order for the purposes of an interlocutory appeal, which would reverse her orders. No, it wouldn't happen. It's not gonna. It's a stupid system anyway, because inherently a judge that issues a ruling a certain way is probably not going to want to, like, why would they certify an order for interlocutory appeal because they're just admitting that, like, they erred. Like, it's just counterintuitive, the fact that the judge has to certify it before it can go anywhere. However, that's the way it works in Indiana. So exactly. So I was thinking that, like, the longer this drags on, and I'm not saying it's dragging on because, like, of the, we're hearing, like, oh, the defense attorneys just keep delaying. Like, get fucking real, grow up, pay attention, open your eyes, turn your brain on. That's like not what's happening. But inevitably, because of all the fuckery, there's been delay after delay after delay after delay, meaning the state has had all this time to just, like, keep fucking finagling and messing around and concocting and creating and building their bullshit case around innocent defendant Rick Allen. It's like, God almighty. So I really like this. I really like this motion to certify. I thought it was short and sweet and to the point, and they knew she was going to deny it anyway. So I don't know, like, what their next step will be, but I want to pull up an email that I have, and I don't know if I can do it without. I think I can, actually. Woman, I don't think anything has happened. I'm just going over the Fruit Loops of the poisonous fruit tree, where if it is decided, or if her motions in her order on the motion in limine and the admissibility of her statements were to be, or no, let me start over. If Judge Gull's order on the admissibility of Rick Allen's statements was certified and went to interlocutory appeal and was appealed, and the appellate court found in the defense's favor, then all of the statements made by Rick and DOC would be inadmissible because they'd be Fruit Loops. They'd be poisonous Fruit Loops. It's because they couldn't certify the original action. She kept pulling the filings. That's true. Yeah, she sure fucking did. I actually just was rereading Kara and Mark's. I forget which one. It was the one that dealt specifically with her record keeping. And my God, she still has not, has not corrected, like, anything. She don't give a fuck because they emboldened her. Hey there. From the, I'm blind, 3021. Welcome. Okay. Oh my God, I have not had Fruity Pebbles in a really long time. I wish I knew how to do a poll in StreamYard. I don't know how. But I want to know everybody's favorite cereal. Actually, I want to know your most, I want to know your staple cereal, your most frequent, commonly eaten cereal. And then I want to know your favorite cereal, i.e. the one that you wish that you could eat all the time, or the one that maybe they're one and the same. I have not had Fruity Pebbles in a long time. Okay. Where is this thingy? Special K Red Berries is the one that Pop-Tarty eats most frequently, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the one that she would eat all day, every day, if she could, because it's her fave. I like both of those. I think that's a really good call. Jamie says, I still cannot believe that Judge Gull put herself on the record saying she hadn't even read the Franks memo, and then she ruled on it. She's like, I haven't even read it, but by the way, that thing was full of fucking lies. Like, did you read it or not, Fran? Apple Jacks. Oh my god, I could, like, when you said Apple Jacks, I just, like, could taste Apple Jacks. I haven't had Apple Jacks in a minute. They're like, that's like nostalgia AF. Woman says, honey bunches of oats with cranberries are staple. I'm a slut for honey bunches of oats. Even the knockoff, like the generic store brand. I don't even give a fuck. Any kind of honey bunches of oats, I'm a slut for that. Favorite is the Reese's peanut butter puffs. Yeah. Same. Basic. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Pop-Tarty eats Cinnamon Toast Crunch at night. It's like dessert. Yep. I like sweet cereal as dessert too. Handy Bay says her favorite frequent is, mini bite-sized shredded wheat with berries. That's like a good, solid comfort cereal. Catastrophe, we're going to segue from cereal for a second. She says, Gull didn't do shit in the light. She's secretly a pussy. She has no balls. Absolutely. She's terrified of, like, being exposed and looking bad. Like, we're actually going to, the main thing I really wanted to pop off about is Walla, because there's something specific that happened last week with the transcript for Walla. And actually, Kara and Mark and Maggie already successfully filed an OA dealing with that exact issue, which is, it doesn't matter if there's an agreement of the parties. The judge cannot hide something that is public record from the public record. It doesn't matter if the parties agree. It doesn't matter. It's not their call. And I'm going to pull that up. But yeah, you cannot hide a transcript from a public hearing that already occurred. Okay, back to cereal. Huda says, cornflakes with a thin layer of sugar over it. Yes. Or Fruity or Cocoa Pebbles. Honey Nut Cheerios. I eat Honey Nut Cheerios all the time. I used to get, I haven't had them in a while. I go through phases, but there was a period where on lives, that would be like my live stream snack. Honey Nut Cheerios are good. Lucky Charms are good. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, checks. I love it all. Hudis is a cereal simp, and I love that because I am too. Woman doing impossible things, adds her own cranberries. Like fresh cranberries? Or like dried cranberries? Reese's Puff cereal is amazing. Forget they exist. Oat bran, I'll eat it. Grape nut, sure. Cold soup is the best. Cold soup? Like any kind of cold soup? Do you like gazpacho? Which is like supposed to be cold? Or do you just mean any soup that's cold? You just like cold, liquidy food. Auntie Bev says her most frequent is Tiny Wheats and her fave is s'mores. I don't think I've had s'mores cereal. I'm certain I'd like it. The real important question is, what is your favorite Pop-Tart? Strawberry. I'm a slut for strawberry stuff, though. Except I don't like eating strawberries like in their natural form. I just like strawberry flavored things from time to time. Woman says, I love cereal. I thought serial killers were me. Or serial killers when I was a kid. You know what's funny? You were probably what? How old were you when you thought that? Maybe like 10 or younger? Dennis Rader, infamous murderer of 10 individual human souls, BTK, literally left a note for police on a Special K box because he was like, I'm a serial killer and it's a cereal box. Like, this is the level of, the cognitive, emotional maturity of most. Anyway, not to say that you're BTK, but that's just funny. Brown sugar Pop-Tarts are really good. That's my second favorite. Brown sugar cinnamon is the true Pop-Tart. Yeah, it's like a classic. Everybody's a big brown sugar fan. Brown sugar cinnamon. S'mores. Honey Smacks. Cereal is your cold soup. I thought you meant like real, like actual soup. Sleuthy Goosey. Sleuthy Goosey, I need to know, so now that you're here, what your favorite, 2 questions. First, what is your favorite cereal that you eat most regularly and consistently as your staple? And then 2 is like, what is your favorite like indulgence cereal? And they can be the same. That's fine. Cherry and frosted. Golden grams with marshmallows. Oh my God, that sounds good. I think we're hungry, guys. 2 bites of a Pop-Tart and then I'm good, but the bites are not the same. Yeah, I always find that like the different, like the bite-sized versions of candy and foods are just never like quite. That is strange of him and oddly similar to me. Yeah, I said we're hungry, or Laura says we're high. Yeah, we're all either very hungry or very high, or probably, both. I mean, I think those go hand in hand. Catastrophe. I have not seen Walla either, at least not in her form, like I saw like one picture maybe and I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, it was interesting to see her just encased with Carroll County deputies. Like, no one's like, what? Come on. And yet the family members of the defendant, the 2 single women, Kathy and Janice, who had to walk blocks away to their car because they fucking got rid of all the parking because they hate the public. They just hate the public. They want to inconvenience the public at all costs. Had to walk to their car alone. Meanwhile, the psychologist, the state actor, gets escorted by over half a dozen Carroll County deputies. Really cool, guys. Great. Aaron Town. Them's fighting words. We don't judge you for this. She says, I feel very un-American around the cereal talk and Pop-Tarts. Never understood why cereal is such a huge thing here. It's just a food item of low priority. Probably because it's like, so I'll say personally, it's comforting maybe because like, it's just like it's always the same. It's easy. It can be, a quick nutritional enough to like keep you alive and keep you upright. Is she still in the Defense Diaries group, Lucy? Woman doing impossible things says, I'm mad at Walla. I'll go one step further. I find her to be I'm so triggered when we talk about her. I'm so ashamed. I am ashamed to even like the fucking treasonous fucking betrayal. Like, how dare you is how I feel about Walla. That's how I feel about her. Catastrophe says, somebody is good at picking people. I think it's Holman, to pick people that are perfect for a certain exploited purpose. Not only do I think that that's true, I 100% know that's true because I've seen him do it. And I've been personally impacted by Jerry Holman. And we'll talk about that one day. We can't right now. Hi, Pebbles. Okay. I started doing something and then I got really distracted. What was I doing? Fuck. Oh, okay. Walla. I wanted to segue to Walla because I wrote something up today and I feel like it is like a good overview of one of the very glaring issues that I see with that trifling, treasonous psychologist, state actor. Thanks, Laura. I think that everyone in here is just beautiful and wonderful and amazing. We really do have some of the coolest people I know. I've never even met, and a lot of them are in here or on X. I will say we're definitely the funnier, like the more humorous of the Holman's for Harshman. Hey, Pebbles. Okay. You guys, y'all are very patient with me trying to run live streams by myself. I do appreciate it. Yeah, Sleuthy says, some people have no sense of humor whatsoever. I could not agree with that more. I don't know how, and I don't know how one can actually get through life without a sense of humor, because like, why? Shit sucks. Or like, why? You have to be able to laugh about stuff. I think I can put this into a Word document. Yes, I can. Some people don't get their random outbursts and cussing and saying offensive shit in private, venting. Sleepy says, I literally sometimes laugh out loud at Angela when she comes unglued. Yeah, man. It happens a lot. Do you know what, though? Like, it is so important that, especially, like, following, like, true crime, or I know that, like, so Sleuthy works in the medical field. I work in the mental health field. I know a lot of our friends work in, like, very emotionally, spiritually, mentally taxing fields. It is really important to have a safe, private, confidential outlet to just unload and vent. It's actually integral and imperative to our wellness and our mental health that we have a safe, confined, like, space, right? Because then I can come and I can just unload if I need to. And then I have people like Sleuthy and Yellow Jacket and other people that I trust and vent to in private who can be like, totally hear you. I hear your frustration. Right there with you. Have you thought about it this way? And then I can be like, yeah, maybe I can chill out a degree. Or the alternative, I can be like, you need to be more mad about this, and then I can spit them up. Like, it's important though that we have that. And if and when that safe space is violated by weirdo, voyeuristic fucking perverts, actually, who steal and hack and peek behind the private curtain of conversations. Can you think of something more disgusting than illicitly, illegally obtaining access to the private thoughts and conversations of people who think that they're speaking under all like semblance of privacy and confidentiality, and then you find out that people that just hate your guts and want to harm you have been sitting around just combing through thousands of months and months of private messages that have nothing to do with them or anything about them. Messages I sent my friend in a Twitter DM. She knows who she is. She's not in here right now. I sent her a picture of my fucking tits. They were sunburned to shit. And I Twitter DM'd her in private a hilarious picture of my sunburned titties. And we laughed and laughed. Guess what? Guess who now has access to that picture? This is the kind of violation that I think that we need to understand. It's weird. It's perverse. It's not news. It's not journalism. It's an actual crime, and it's disgusting. And I think maybe moving forward, I'm going to stop calling these people bullies. I'm going to stop calling them weirdos. I'm going to call them what they are. You're predators and you're pervs. You're perverts. You're creepy stalker perverts. It's gross. Yeah, it is awful. I mean, 99% of what we said when we were venting is not even real life. I'm going to punch someone. I'm not really going to punch someone. Everybody knows that, Sleuthy. And the problem is people feign offense. DB, why are you in here? We're talking about I thought you were asleep. We feign outrage. We feign offense. DB sends pictures of his titties in private. How would he feel if those were leaked? Titties are good blackmail for us folk. I don't care, though. But, like, here's the thing. It's not so much... I'm going to send out pictures of my titties on my own time to whomever I want to. But I don't want two creepy perverts hacking into my private conversations and having access to them. That's weird. No one cares about titties. Right. My point being, if the worst thing that I've done today or this week or this year is, yeah, this is exactly what they are. They are voyeurs. If the worst thing that I've done is say an unkind word in a private chat to a trusted friend who would never repeat it outside of that conversation, I'm fine. We actually need that. We all need that shit. I don't know how we started talking about this, but I'm glad we did. Cathartic, y'all. I'm going to put, this is my favorite quote. I have it hanging above my desk where I sit and I do my job. And it's just a really, I'm like struggling tonight. What is going on? Here we go. Live life. This is mean. It's awesome. I don't know what you mean, but I'm all for it. I agree with this. Okay, this is my favorite quote. Oh, the comfort, the inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person, having neither to weigh thoughts nor measure words, but to pour them all out just as they are, chaff and grain together, knowing... Why does YouTube keep blocking my chats? Hold on, I need to finish the quote. YouTube rejected your comment for spam. Here, I'll just share it. God, what is with StreamYard? I care about titties. Michael, hi, Michael. This is the quote. Oh, the comfort, the inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person. I just lost all of my tabs. How did that happen? I'm so confused. Sorry, y'all. Oh, my God. Michael Miller says, I am too high. We've been talking about cereal, titties, perverts, and voyeurs It's probably a good live to be in if you're high. Okay, found it. Oh, the comfort. The inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person, having neither to weigh thoughts nor measure words, but to pour them all out just as they are, chaff and grain together, knowing that a faithful hand will take and sift them, keeping what's worth keeping, and then with a breath of kindness blow the rest away. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Isn't it nice to know that you don't have to censor your innermost thoughts and frustrations? It basically means, how comforting and wonderful and safe does it feel to have a person or persons that you trust, that you can just let it all out and say what you need to say, and knowing that they won't judge you and they won't hold on to the things you say if perhaps they're unkind, if you say things in a moment of frustration or anger, sadness or grief or fear or feeling violated. They'll just listen and they'll be non-judgmental and they'll be allowing and they'll keep what's worth keeping, and with it they'll just let the rest go and not hold it against you. Isn't that nice? Unless, of course, creepy weirdos violate your privacy for the purposes of I don't fucking know. Hi, Nat. Welcome back. How does it keep happening? Although I want everyone to know I have 2-factor authentication now. I've made some changes to my life. Kelly just says, chaos! I couldn't agree more. I just love it. The all caps. Chaos. Love it. No, Kel. Absolutely not. Don't worry. We were just talking. We were just kind of we were just filing motions to rehash. We were just rehashing some of the interesting things that have happened. Choose email over text whenever you can. Oh, man. There's so many things that I could do differently. What are you going to do? You know? What are you going to do? I'm so sorry, guys. I've been trying to get this damn stupid fucking thing to load for like ever. And I'm going to get it this time because now I finally got my login. So venting is good. Hey, Kayla. Okay. 11 years. I have another side note and tip. Go ahead, Sleepy. Just the tip. Okay. This is just me getting my thoughts in order regarding poisonous Fruit Loops and the state's intentional, knowing and intentional. Well, first, let's address this from Sleuthy. I don't know who uses velvet hangers for their clothes, but I got these on Amazon. They're the best ones I've ever used. They're sturdy and thick and take up less space and nothing slips. Well, girl, let's see them. Shit at shit. They sound amazing. They do sound amazing. Drop that linky. Drop that stanky link. Kel says sturdy and thick. All right. I want to read this to y'all. Here is Sleuthy first with our hot tip of the evening. She says, wait. The link's too long. Everybody type in that into Google or into Amazon. Type this into Amazon and your life will be better, will be changed for the better via a hot tip from Mama Goosey. Pop Tardy says, my kids get the shitty plastic ones. God, once you switch though, those plastic ones are actually, I find they're personally offensive to me. I get like mad at them. Y'all talking, Kelt says, y'all talking about a penis? Not exactly, but man. Well, those oh my God. Okay. Jesus Christ. God. Okay. Safekeeping. The key concern is the heavily, so remember y'all, there was this heavily protected emergency hearing that was held on April 14th, 2023. And this was the hearing where they decided that Rick was experiencing severe mental illness and that he did meet the criteria of grave disability and involuntary injections of antipsychotic psychotropics. It was determined that they would, hi Heather, that they would be giving him involuntary meds. Yet somehow they also determined in that same hearing that he did not need to be transferred to a more appropriate facility or setting. So yes, he's gravely disabled and severely mentally ill to the point where he needs involuntary injections of an antipsychotic medication. However, not gravely disabled enough to be transferred to a medical facility or a DOC facility even that was equipped to handle somebody that was experiencing grave disability and acute severe mental illness. And they did not let anybody know about this hearing except, please hold, because we're going to get there. This is the hearing where Dr. Walla, DOC staff, etc., decided to continue holding Rick in the restricted housing unit at Westville, in spite of very clear, extensively litigated policies protecting inmates with severe mental illness from being held in restricted housing for more than 30 days. This critical hearing was literally held the day after the Indiana prison, I don't remember, the IPAS lawsuit versus DOC, the day after the stipulated settlement agreement expired. This settlement would have protected Rick from being kept in the restricted housing unit, and it likely would have seen him transferred out of Westville. It expired on, Gull says they're not policies, they're suggestions. Gull's fucking wrong, and I'll guarantee you she never even read it. So, but it would have, because what this settlement agreement did, not only did it lead to the implementation of statewide DOC policies protecting severely mental ill inmates, but it also gave the inmates that were having their rights violated in this way recourse where they could literally report DOC to IPASS. It gave them an entity to report violations to, and IPASS would actually do something about it. Like, there was a mechanism for accountability and to preserve and protect the rights of the mentally ill inmates. Okay. So the emergency hearing where WALA and IDOC staff determined that Rick would receive involuntary medication yet remain in restricted housing unit happened on the 14th. The settlement agreement, the expiration date was the 13th. Prosecutor McClellan files his response to the defense's emergency motion to modify Rick's safekeeping. In his response, McClellan admits to having direct knowledge of the emergency hearing that was set to occur that very day. It's abundantly concerning that the state was made aware that this hearing was even happening at all, let alone specific findings and decisions from the hearing, which he later completely misrepresents to the judge. This is a direct quote from this motion he files on the 14th. The state has been made aware that the defendant is being evaluated at 10 a.m. on April 14th, 2023, to assess his mental health needs, and the state believes it's important to see the results of that testing before a decision is made. Who the fuck made Nick McClellan aware of a confidential emergency hearing? Who tipped him off to this? And in what fucking universe does he actually think that he gets to see the results of that testing? Oh, wait. He did, because at no point did anybody protect Rick Allen's right to privacy? Hey, True Grit. What's weird about this is that the hearing is scheduled to take place at 10 o'clock on 4/14. The prosecutor files his response on the 14th of April. I don't know, like, when does he sign it? 14th. So let me get this straight. All right, let me fucking get this straight. The prosecutor says, I've just been made aware of a hearing that's going to take place on the 14th at 10 a.m. Okay, dude, well, you fucking authored this on the 14th of April. You know what else happened on the 14th of April? Oh, wait, I'm not sharing the right. Look, homeboy fucking authored this bitch on the 14th of April. And he had the audacity to say, the state has been made aware that the defendant's being evaluated at 10 o'clock on April 14th. Okay, so you're filing this on April 14th when? At 9? 8? I know you're not awake at fucking 8 o'clock in the morning, Nick McClellan. Get fucking real. Be all the way fucking for real right now. So what the fuck? And then, not only did he file that on the same day as the hearing, but Judge Gohl, lickety-split, she is just on top of shit back then, because she also, oh my God, issued an order the same fucking day. April 14th. I'm going to keep that motherfucker right where he is. I'm not moving that pretrial inmate. Like, what is going on? That's insane. This is insanity. Who made him aware? We were just made aware. He also said made aware in, I'm gonna, hold on. Give me a second. Okay. So that's April 14th. Not even a week later. Oh, damn it. File is in owner's trash. No. Why did all eyes trash that? It's okay. I'll find another one. Oh, okay. Here it is. Motion for leave. Nope. What the fuck? Okay. going on? Motion for a second granted, thanks. What am I like? What am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? I fucking hate when I can't find shit. It's very fucking annoying to me. Okay. Whew. Wait, hold on. I gotta share this. Oh, this is so funny. This is called Dick McClellan. Oh wait, I'm not sharing the page. Damn. This is called Dick McClellan. Dick McClellan filing three separate motions. The order was bill to produce employment records from CV. Wait. I forgot about this. Oh my god, give me a second. Dick McClellan filed three separate motions ordering Westfield to produce Rick's employment records. So obviously, he like made mistakes in his filings, but that made me laugh. Okay. So this is his fucking stupid motion for leave. God damn it. Fuck shit. Cock. Wait. Motherfucker. It's like it's the time of the evening where we don't know what's gonna happen. Dick McClellan. I don't know why that's fucking making me laugh so hard. Oh my god, he's so fucking stupid. That man is so fucking stupid. God damn it. Okay, are y'all still with me? I swear I'm gonna get my life together. Okay, God. So, comes now. Dick McClellan. There's so many tabs open. I have too many tabs open. I don't even know. Okay. So this is one of the versions of the modified, amended, altered PCA, I guess. Like he's asking for mental health records. Why he needs to include the probable cause affidavit again, I don't fucking know. Probably because he's a really bad fucking attorney and doesn't know what the fuck he's doing and is corrupt. He's helplessly, hopelessly fucking corrupt. But this says we're requesting any and all records any and all records for Rick Allen associated with his stay as an inmate. While working the Delphi investigation, the sheriff's department detective Tony Liggett developed information that he was involved. What does that have to do with anything? Okay, so blah, blah. Here's the PCA that at this point, what, it's April? Yeah, this piece of shit document's been floating around forever, except with modifications. Except then it's like they made he literally he authored a probable cause affidavit to subpoena third-party mental health records of the defendant from DOC. That's a weird thing to do. So he just goes right into it, right from the PCA all the way, like straight into it. Upon his arrival at the facility, like, we're talking about the crime, we're talking about the charges being filed on October 28th. And then all of a sudden, he says he was moved to the Westville Correctional Facility. He's been in the facility since November. When he entered, he was placed in segregation for his protection. In the segregation unit, his cell is equipped with a video recorder. There are also logs indicating when he leaves and for what purposes. He's also seen by medical providers, mental health specialists to evaluate his condition. He can use his tablet. Upon his arrival, he was placed on suicide watch because of certain statements he made about harming himself. We've seen nothing that proves that he ever needed, we don't know what he said, and nor should we, because it's not fucking relevant to anything, except Nick is trying to make it evidentiary. Exactly. This is what they do. It's not even just a press release. These are calls to action. Nick McClelland is a fucking terrorist. He releases calls to action to the public, to DOC. Yes, he deputizes state actors to act on behalf of the state for some delusional mission, right? Personal cause mission to help the state. This is insane. Throughout his stay, Rick's mental health improved to the point that he was taken off suicide watch. Was he? Because we also can't find any proof of that. DB says, this is like him, Nick McClelland, saying, get him, boys. Exactly. He was participating in recreation and exercising. The facility reports he was doing well. They had no issues. His day-to-day demeanor was that he was quiet, read a lot of books, did crossword puzzles, and exercised. On April 3rd, all of a sudden, we don't know what happened. On April 3rd, he made a phone call to his wife. He admits several times to killing Abby and Libby. Okay. Investigators had the phone call transcribed, and the transcription confirms that Rick Allen admits he committed the murders of Abby and Libby. He admits several times that he committed the offenses as charged. Honey, I committed the offenses as charged. Get fucked. What did he really say? Why don't you play us the recording, you motherfucking liar? Because I bet you it was psychotic rambling. Soon after, attorneys for Richard Allen filed an emergency motion. In that motion, they say his mental state has declined. So this is Nick saying, all right, here it is, made aware. This is what started me on this fucking thing. Defense has also challenged that his treatment is unconstitutional. Soon after, investigators were made aware by the warden that Rick Allen was beginning to act strangely. So I wonder who it was. That made aware the state about this April hearing. Because we know the warden made the state aware of Rick's strange behavior. Is the warden making the state aware of other things? Are you talking to me, Laura? Yeah, they absolutely messed with his medication. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was going to play it earlier, but I was like, maybe another time. We'll have a watch party. He's fucking ridiculous. Okay. Listen, okay. Ready for this shit? Rick Allen would go days on end refusing to sleep. refusing to eat and refusing to sleep. Hold that motherfucking thought. Because the legal standard of grave disability, which is what Walla has categorized him as, is that it's a person's inability to provide for their basic needs. An example of grave disability might be a person refusing to eat because of delusions about food, refusing to sleep, auditory hallucinations. Psychosis is fucking torture. Psychosis is torture. Honey, I committed the offense of this charge. Like, right? Like, get fucked. There's no fucking way. God. Okay, I'm just showing this article. I'll share it somewhere else because it's really good, and it helped me understand when Dr. Wall is using words like grave disability. That's not just her being like, oh, he's gravely disabled because she has like a good vocabulary. That's her using a legal and medical standard. It's a classification of severity of an illness. And when someone is experiencing psychosis, when someone who is experiencing psychosis floods a cell or throws bodily fluids at staff, custody staff might be trained to respond with punitive measures, disciplinary charges, or restrictive housing. Whereas mental health staff might want to further evaluate and treat him. Even when referred for involuntary psych care, incarcerated people who meet grave disability criteria are often so ill. Incarcerated people who meet grave disability criteria are often so ill that they don't understand or accept the need for treatment. They might go along with or not resist psychiatric care. However, some might refuse any treatment even as their behaviors place them at risk of victimization, including violence from those around them. For correctional facilities without capabilities for their specific services, like involuntary psychiatric hospitalization, for correctional facilities that don't have those capabilities, involuntary psychiatric hospitalization for patients who meet grave disability criteria typically requires transfer to outside facilities. Yeah, no shit. That's usually what Westville did, except in this instance, they just decided that the safekeeping order was going to trump his, what's it called? What's that thing called? Oh, yeah. His fucking constitutional right. And what he is literally protected from. Where the fuck is it? I'm going to find it. God damn it. I'd be so mad. Here it is. Okay. Nope, that's not it either. Motherfucker. There's literally a section that says, maybe it's at the very beginning. Where did I read it? Anyway. Hi, Heather. Busy facilities. I'm not. Okay, let me. Catastrophe. This is just a link to. I'll link it. It's just an article from 2022, Medical Journal, Psychiatric Services, peer-reviewed, about grave disability in U.S. jails and prisons. And the reason I looked into it is because Wallace specifically refers to Rick's condition. The day before, when they scheduled the hearing on the 13th of April, she says his condition is grave disability, and that is a legal and medical standard. Let me try and link it. How do I make it share? Get your shit together, Angela. Oh, share. Okay. Tell me if you can open that, please. And I just found it to be interesting. And then where is... Okay. So Rosie, one of the things that Judge Gull took issue with, one of the reasons that she found him to be grossly negligent and incompetent and compromised, is that he filed a tort notice against the DOC on April 18th, 2023. So he knows in April 2023 that his defendant, his client, is getting fucked by DOC. Like, he's like, this ain't fucking good. This shit is bad. God forbid something happens. So Rosie filed an Indiana tort claims notice. The claimant is Richard Allen. The tort claim is in the it's in the previous one though. Date of loss, October 28th through the date of this notice. Location, so this includes the Carroll County Jail, the White County Jail, and the Indiana DOC Westville, which were the three facilities that he had been housed at. You are hereby, I agree with you, Catastrophe. You are hereby notified that Richard Allen is asserting a claim against all those listed above. The Indiana Political Subdivision Risk Management Commission, the Attorney General Todd Rokita, Nicholas McClellan, the Indiana DOC, former Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby, acting Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett, and Carroll County Sheriff's Department. Get fucked. Oh, you're right. Yes. Yes, Catastrophe, you're right. Whose names are, you are hereby notified. Okay. As a result of the persons and or agents whose names are not now known who acted on behalf of the above agencies. So he's already calling out, like, look, so these entities right here, let's call these the state. Let's call these entities, this is the state of Indiana, right? The case of the state of Indiana versus Richard Allen. Everybody listed here is qualifies as the state. And then anybody who acted on behalf of the state, on behalf of the above agencies, for the injuries and damages he sustained and continues to sustain from his unlawful incarceration associated with the criminal case number, where Mr. Allen was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder. In addition to being unlawfully detained, he's been inhumanely incarcerated in a maximum security segregation unit within the DOC pending trial. It is our opinion that the above named agencies and or entities are the proximate cause of this incident. They're asserting this. They are asserting the claim that they're making in their request to certify for interlocutory appeal. They are already calling it out in April. They're saying, this is your fucking fault. You are the proximate cause of Rick Allen's injury. The injury to his psyche, his physical body, and the injury to his freedom, his protection against self-incrimination, his due process rights, the injury that he is suffering, the injury of his, like, to his defense. Like, you are responsible. You are the proximate cause of that. The purpose of this letter is to inform you that of our client's claims against you pursuant to Indiana Tort Claims Act, the full amount of damages sought on behalf, unknown. When this information becomes available, we'll promptly forward it to you. If for any reason you feel that the above notice doesn't constitute full and complete notice, let us know. Contact us immediately. We'll provide whatever additional information is necessary. This notice, now here's why this is filed. The only reason that you file a notice is to preserve your right to sue the fucking pants off of whomever is responsible for the injury. Because you don't always, like, a lot of times, well, we have to wait for this fucking thing to be litigated. We have to wait for him to be convicted and or exonerated and or whatever the fuck. So you don't want the statute of limitations to run out. Yeah. Ouch. Or whatever, the timeline. So Rosie is doing a really responsible, ethical, competent, whatever the opposite of incompetent is. He's acting in the best interest to protect his client. It's amazing that Gull was able to twist this somehow into him being irresponsible. So that I hadn't seen in a while, and I'm glad that okay. I know I'm jumping. My ADHD is like, whoa, running the show. I just want to finish reading this one page. So this is, we're jumping back, boomeranging us back to Nick McClelland's April 20th, 2023 request for Rick's any and all records associated with Rick Allen and DOC. This request is made for the purpose of an investigation regarding murder. Thank you, Nick. Further, in response to the observations made by the investigating officer. Okay, this is weird. This is how he concludes. This is literally a request for leave to subpoena third-party records. This could have been a page. This could have been an email. This could have been a page. You didn't have to do all this. Listen to how he concludes this fucking letter. This request is made for the purpose of an investigation regarding murder. Further, in response to the observations made by the investigating officer, the state believes that Richard Allen is a suspect in the criminal acts. The state believes that the employment records, oops, he forgot that he's actually asking for DOC medical records, but whatever. The state believes the employment records would be able to confirm or support information that the law enforcement has acquired as a result of the murder investigation. This is some crazy, crazy. Hi, Travis. Welcome. So glad you're here. Oh, they did drop it. Okay, I didn't. Yeah, of course. Like how could they not? I don't know if I remembered that they dropped it, but that makes sense. Yeah, for them to even try and accuse Brad of being unethical for preserving his client's right. Like, get out of here. Okay. It's like they're personally offended when defendants assert their rights to due process. Is weird. They're personally offended by defense attorneys defending their client. They're used to Pat Manahan, who will just be like, top of the morning to you, Nick. Let's go in there and try this murder case. And then we'll go out to dinner afterwards and you can give the speech for my induction into the Indiana Hall of Fame for my basketball talents. Not kidding. Nick McClelland literally, what's it called? When you recommend somebody for, yeah, he recommended Pat Manahan for the Indiana Sports Basketball Hall of Fame, and Manahan was inducted. And Nick McClelland, 2 weeks after Jennifer Dean's murder trial concludes, Nick McClelland is giving him his honorary induction speech. Okay. And I'm going to really trust that Pat Manahan, as my defense attorney, is going to have my best interests in mind when he's like defending me against the state and I'm being prosecuted by his best friend. You see the problem with all of this? It's like very incestuous and corrupt. Anyway, the state of Indiana has contacted defense counsel for Richard Allen, and defense counsel has not. The state of Indiana has contacted defense counsel for Richard Allen, and defense counsel has not informed me, the state, whether they consent or object to the subpoena. Like, this entire thing is weird. This is just weird, like, down to him. First of all, down to him, like, fudging it and accidentally asking for his employment records when he means to be asking him for his. Like, it just makes no sense. requesting the employment records. Really? Because at the beginning of this letter, you were requesting any and all records related to DOC. Get yourself together, Nicholas. Dick McClelland has all eyes is here. Thank God. I pulled up your. We had like a 5-minute. We crumbled. We just disintegrated into ash when I pulled up one of your folders and it said Dick. Hold on. I don't know where it is, but it's Dick McClelland requests to subpoena third-party records from Westville for employment records. Oh my God. He's so stupid. He's such a dingleberry. He's so stupid. Sorry. Oh my God. Okay. Back to Yes. I did find it. It's what I'm reading from. You are amazing. You are everything. You are our muse. You are our lifesaver. $420. Yeah, sure does. It's late. Oh God. Okay. So obviously not tonight because it's like my bedtime and I'm gonna get off here soon, but I do just want to intro what I think I want to go over next time. So these are Yellow Jacket's very meticulous, incredible notes in typed form from the hearing, particularly from July 31st, the testimony of Walla. Ouch. So Walla takes the stand. What I really wanted to just look at was so when Rick entered the facility, he had a history of general anxiety disorder. Walla says yes. DPD. Now, this was a question we weren't sure. There was like some maybe weren't misspeak or mishear. We don't know if he had a diagnosis of dependent personality disorder. It's really not like one that we see a lot anymore, because other like depression and anxiety and other kinds of mental health diagnoses can encapsulate it. Anyway, regardless, perhaps this was DPD, but more severe anxiety when Rick is separated from his family. Is that true? Dr. Wallace says yes. So codes A through E at Westville represent the stage of acuteness or severity of symptoms of an inmate. Rick was D the whole time. E equals psych ward, which is interesting because if you are involuntarily medicating somebody with Haldol injections and they are gravely disabled, they're E. But they didn't want to classify him as E because that would mean that they would have to involuntarily admit him into a psychiatric hospital facility for stabilization. Remember that time Rick was begging Dr. Walla to go to Logansport Hospital so that he could get better and see his family? That's pretty fucking devastating. That's really sad. Rick was fragile when he was admitted. He was thrown into solitary and verbally taunted. Are there any records to indicate that he was suicidal at his intake? Remember, the prosecutor alleges this in April 2023 in a motion. He made statements at intake. Really? Because his just says no. There's no record to indicate that. But he was high risk due to charges. Okay. Rosie asks Walla, did you order suicide companions? And Walla says, no, nothing. From the very start, there were problems with Rick's companions. They talked to him about his case, which is a no. Inmates are suicide companions plus program companions are not allowed to talk to the inmate that they're providing companionship for. Rick told Dr. Walla that he was frustrated with the companions, and Walla agreed that they were untrustworthy. When Rick advised Dr. Walla that the companions were asking him questions, she didn't do anything about it. Walla says she doesn't love it, but it's the system. It's the system, god damn it. Me versus the system in my... Hello? Me versus the system, says Dr. Walla. Oh, wait, have I not been sharing this the whole time? Have y'all been able to see this document as I've been reading? Probably not, right? I like messed with a setting, and now when I share... Ernesto Che Guevara, if you're here, welcome. You have not been able to see it. Excellent, fantastic, fucking great. Well, now you can see it. I'm not gonna like go. Oh, geez. Okay. Well, regardless. Okay, so Rick said to Dr. Walla he was frustrated with the suicide companions. Heather, everybody's high tonight, huh? We're all just fucking zooted in this chat, eating cereal, hanging out. Well, could be worse, right, my friends? Walla agrees that suicide companions are untrustworthy. When Rick advises Dr. Walla that suicide companions are asking him questions, Dr. Walla does nothing about it. I don't love it, but it's the system, says Dr. Walla. Companions are paid. They hold jobs. A suicide companion is a paid position. So Rick was Dr. Walla's first ever pre-trial unconvicted patient. Sometimes they went down the hall for more involved sessions. Rick would sometimes go into a 3x3 cage, which is triangular concrete walls with a gate in front. She never did a therapeutic evaluation, but she did provide handouts on depression and anxiety. Let that fucking sink in. Dr. Walla provided Rick Allen with Man's Search for Meaning. Okay. She gave him crossword puzzles and crayons. Her abilities are super limited by admin and DOC, says Dr. Walla, contracted by the multi-billion-dollar Centurion Healthcare oppressor. We would talk about suicide to make sure they're safe. Ever talk to Rick about the exceptions to patient and doctor privilege and privacy? And Dr. Walla says, oh, I don't think so. Oh, so you never... Remember that video we watched earlier that was like, Centurion Health, you know, what are the ethical considerations and what are the privacy rights of inmates when it comes to their mental health care? Confidentiality and informed consent and HIPAA are at the forefront of Centurion's healthcare team, except we don't even fucking inform the inmate that there's exceptions to confidentiality and patient-doctor privilege. So I build rapport and trust with my patient, and then I fuck him forever by basically facilitating his self-incrimination. Me, catastrophe. It's pretty infuriating. So, did you ever get a waiver from Rick? She's like, I don't know. She technically works for Centurion. There have been a few switches over time. Every 3 years, the contract's renewed. Sure fucking is. Rick proclaimed his innocence at the very beginning. He was focused on his wife and very worried about her. In December, he told her that he was being treated badly. December. So immediately, almost a month in. Okay. So that article that I shared, or maybe I didn't share it. I did share it. So right here it says March 2023, Rick said, "I don't feel right." So this is the first indication that I've been able to find, and I think it's also on our DOC timeline somewhere where on March. So where is it? Yeah. Per Dr. Wallace's testimony, Allen took God into his heart on March 21st, 2023. Okay. He took God into his heart. That to me sounds like a religious delusion, but what do I know? I've not assessed him, although neither has Dr. Walla apparently. So, but he's also telling her as he's taking God into his heart, he's in the same breath telling her, "I don't feel right." And then there was a more specific okay, WTHR put out this article. It was the one connected to the video we watched earlier, but it basically says fucking Harshman's a douchebag, by the way. I hope he's watching. Fuck you. Fuck you, Harshman, you fucking douchebag. Okay, so March 23rd. So on March 21st, according to Dr. Walla's testimony, I have too many tabs open. According to Dr. Walla's testimony in March, Rick told her, "I don't feel right." Okay. Around the 21st. But he's also telling her on March 23rd, Rick Allen was depressed. Rick Allen was withdrawn. And he was not straight in the head. He's taking God into his heart. He's depressed, withdrawn, and not straight in the head. That to me sounds a lot like somebody who's experiencing some severe acute mental health disturbance and distress. Yeah, fuck you, Harshman. Fucking dork. April 4th, Allen suffered from insomnia, hopelessness, suicidal, and said death would bring relief. April 4th, right? Well, that's literally the day or the day after he made this phone call to his wife. This was a rapid decline. Rapid. From March 21st until April 4th. And I still want to know, until somebody can prove otherwise, what the fuck happened from the time Randy Jones became supervisor of APOD, where Rick was housed, in late February, early March. What the fuck happened between late February, early March, and early April of 2023? What did they do to Rick Allen? Anyone know? I would love to know. Doesn't matter because I don't even think they would have been filming him full time until, let me see. Okay, back to her testimony. So on 4/4, the day that he is the day that he's feeling hopeless, the day after he makes this alleged confession to his wife, she characterizes him as poor, critical, deteriorating, suicidal ideation. Rick is having delusions. Okay, he's having delusions. He says death would bring relief, insomnia, poor appetite, and hopelessness. Insomnia and poor appetite, doesn't that sound a lot like the grave disability thing we just read that talks about sometimes when people are experiencing psychosis for whatever reason, they won't eat or sleep. It's not like a willful, defiant thing. On 4/12/23, his situation, he is more critical, banging his head on his cell, self-harm. They had to give him emergent involuntary medication via injection. Catastrophe. So this would be the first instance of involuntary medication. And when he went into DOC, he was on antidepressants and I forget exactly what he was on, but he was on he had a long history of psychotropic medication to treat his depression. And at some point, Walla testifies that he was not on any medications. So they discontinued his fucking medication at some point. And I suspect it probably is not unconnected to whatever happened to him. No, you cannot go cold turkey on SSRIs, nor can you go cold turkey on your beta blockers, blood pressure medication, whatever else the fuck he was on. For he was a high risk cardiac. What's it called? Rick had a heart attack in 2010, so he was on daily cardiac and blood pressure and beta blocker medications. Was he getting those? I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. 4/13, grave disability. Rick is consuming feces. They are considering involuntary medication. A hearing is held and involuntary meds are... a hearing for... Well, these are... I'm not going to mess with their notes, but... on the 21st of April, Walla had a conversation with Rick about incompetency to stand trial. Why is the psychologist... Yes, he was Rick Allen was Dr. Walla's lab rat. The DOC's lab rat.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Hey, Ange. This is DB. I just seen you were live earlier today, and I seen you're live now, and I didn't get you didn't say anything to me about it, so I was just seeing what's up.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Hey, like I said, it's me, it's DB. I just seen that you're live again, and you still haven't said anything, and I put some messages in the chat, and you're really not reading them, and I was just wondering what's going on.
Please leave a message after the tone.
You think this is fucking funny? This is fucking bullshit. If your fiend shows up, I'm gonna fucking lose it. Why is that calling me back? What? Why? I don't want to have to go to cursive behind the crime door and be a simp.
Poor DB. Put a 1 in the chat if DB is a good special boy. If you think DB is a special boy, put a 1 in the chat. DB needs some love. Okay. Oh man. Kayla, we joke around here. It is a serious subject, but I'm never gonna cut it out. I can't. I can't. You matter, DB. Okay, so Dr. Walla, for some reason, the day after Nick tries to get Rick Allen's mental health records, frantically, he files 3 different motions and they're all flawed. They're all flawed. He's trying to get his mental health records really, really, really bad on March 20th. The day after that, Dr. Walla's like, hey, Rick, do you feel competent to stand trial? That ain't good. Hey, Kel. Fucking Canadians. She's not Canadian, is she? Actually, don't tell me. I don't even want to know. They're gonna tell me I'm like doxing. Don't tell me, please. Okay, so the day after Nick frantically tries to get all of Rick's mental health records from DOC, Dr. Walla's like, maybe you're not competent to stand trial, which is interesting because Gull around the same time was like, hey, if you keep bringing up the issue of competency, I'm gonna end up giving the state his mental health records. And the defense was like, we literally never brought up competency. And she's like, you keep talking about his mental health. And they're like, yeah, because they're literally torturing him and trying to kill him. Like, what does that have to do with competency? So if you ask me, I think there's some backdoor behind the scenes ex parte motherfuckery going on. And it looks as though, I hadn't really thought about this before, but perhaps Dr. Walla needs to keep her fucking mouth shut when it comes to how Rick should be maybe don't give your patient insight as to how he should defend himself from 2 murder charges. You absolute audacious bitch. That's insane. RA said, I want to confess on May 3rd. She questioned if he was being truthful. Any of these. Hi, DB. Welcome. I'm so glad. Did you get Mars phone minutes?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look, but I just wanted to call in real quick and say that I actually don't listen to your voicemails. I actually just went and read your text message. You just said that you didn't have signal and you were just gonna go live. So yeah, just don't
listen to him.
Don't listen to them
Just
and
delete them out, right?
yeah, just go ahead and delete them and don't.
I think instead what I'm going to do is maybe like play him for a podcast or
We'll see, that's going to be an issue for me.
Or due process gang us.
That's going to be a real issue for me, you know. You know, I'm an image upload, and by image, I don't mean anything that you can actually see.
Yeah.
But more of a, image, a likeness, a personality. It's kind of a showbiz thing, you know.
Do you tater in? I can't really hear you. You sound a little muffled. You sound either a little muffled or like you have like.
Oh, sorry, I was in a storage container. I've been working on building a series of homes for the homeless, made out of old nuclear waste storage containers.
Wait. No.
I feel funny.
Nuclear waste storage.
Yeah, I feel funny. Anyways, whatever the fucking women making spaghetti, whatever the fuck. Appreciate you cooking for your bad kids or whatever I usually say. So I gotta
DB
go.
would like. I think what DB's trying to say is he'd like to give a shout out to all the moms.
Yeah, the moms.
All the moms making dinner.
The mom's making dinner. If you don't make dinner, then whatever. But if you
shout.
don't make dinner, your kid will live in a nuclear storage container probably one day.
It's not getting it. It's okay. It's okay. What a guy. Oh man. He's It's so past dinner time. It really is. Just an absolute gentleman, a prince among men, I tell you. Cooking is also against my religion, Jenny. Mar loves DB's bedroom voice. Oh my God, True Grit Crime. I'm coming over. I'm gonna come over. You gonna feed me, please? I need steak and taters. I need some mom spaghetti. You're eating a waffle, who dis? I like breakfast food at night. I've been hungry since I started streaming. Okay. So what we're saying, backdoor, behind the scenes, motherfuckery. So nice to hear from our friend, my producer, handler, and comrade DB. Never say no to. I will never say no to no. I'm all about steak. And this is a true statement. I do. Criminal Network. There you are. I was just about to you said something funny and I almost like repeated it just now, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna get it wrong. And now that you're here, I can't remember what the fuck it was. It'll come to me in a minute, I bet. It'll come to me. Breakfast at night. Peanut butter and honey sandwich. The handler. I definitely think that DB should. I think that we definitely need some kind of like a DB audiobook. Who knows? Maybe he can just like read the US Constitution or something. So nice to see Travis still. Oh, I am all about Captain Crunch, except I always like anytime I eat it for like a week straight, I'm injured. You know, it cuts the roof of your mouth so bad, but it's like so good. So you just keep going. Frosted Flakes are good too. Yeah, do that. Go do that. That should do it. I think I meant to say, to be fair, I probably should. I meant like, I said dingleberry, which felt very crass. I think I meant like dingus or doofus, but dingleberry is just like what came out. So apologies for the dingleberry reference. How does one acquire a handler? Basically, they just kind of show up one day. And then next thing you know, they're just a fixture. And then they go away for a few days and you don't know what to fucking do with yourself. You're like, I don't know. I guess I'll just go live twice because I don't know. Up is down. That's basically how you acquire a handler. Have you tried the honey roasted peanut butter? Dingleberry fits. Okay. This is depressing me. This is bumming me out. I'm almost done. So Rick says, I want to confess on May 3rd. And she's like, I don't know if he's being truthful, which this is a really weird word. Like this to me just telegraphs the total lack of understanding and appreciation and appropriate level of knowledge and care that Walla is at least exhibiting towards severely mental ill patients. Because for Rick to say, I want to confess, and she questions if he's being truthful, that implies that he's being dishonest. Like that implies that he's lying, which is like so punitive. Everything in DOC is punitive. It's all punitive. So if you're experiencing symptoms of psychosis and they're resulting in you flooding your cell or throwing bodily fluids or refusing to eat or sleep because you're psychotic, DOC will treat that as a behavioral issue and they will respond in kind, meaning they will punitively address the issue, which is not the way that a mental health crisis need be addressed. So for Dr. Walla to say, I question if Rick was being truthful, like You don't fucking get it, girl. You don't fucking get it. You have no business treating a severely mentally ill patient. No, much less a severely mentally ill patient who is in solitary confinement and restricted housing unit, which is inherently punitive. Psychosis is torment. It is like being blacked out. It's amnesiatic. You don't have recall after the fact. Can you imagine if and when Rick returned to wellness, and restored somewhat to wellness after they would stop doing whatever they were doing to him? Can you imagine being told that you made that you basically like convicted yourself in your psychosis, that you made statements like Handy Bay says, I wish they would have asked her if she had experience treating someone in psychosis. Yeah, that's a really important question. Yes, Walla was watching a ton of Delphi. Kel, I don't know if you were following any of like the online stuff. I hope not, probably not. But Walla was 100%. She was very active in Delphi online groups. So 5-3, I want to confess. 5-17, his disorganized thinking accelerated. Why? I get really, really, really upset when we talk about this, because she documented. So in March, she's noticing something's not right. By April 4th, she describes him as critical. Okay, he's critical. He's deteriorating. He's suicidal, delusions. Death would bring relief. A week later, more critical. A day later, grave disability. Two weeks later, a month later, disorganized thinking is accelerating. This right here is cruel and unusual punishment according the courts have already decided this. So Judge Gull can delay the issue however fucking long she wants to, but at the end of the day, the courts have already made the decision for her. You cannot deprive an individual in state custody, an inmate, you cannot deprive an inmate of mental health treatment. It's cruel and unusual punishment. It's violative of their constitutional rights. And for a month plus, she watched him accelerate and deteriorate in psychosis. And because they valued the safekeeping bullshit order, which was inherently in itself unconstitutional, because they wanted Rick under their thumb so that they could force and coerce confessions out of him, they wanted him so bad under their control and surveillance 24/7 that they prioritized a bullshit fucking illegal safekeeping order over getting a gravely disabled, severely mentally ill pre-trial defendant in psychosis who's worsening and deteriorating. They didn't get him any fucking intervention. They didn't intervene, and they didn't interrupt his psychosis. They allowed him to deteriorate to the point. Do you know psychosis is like a brain injury? It's like injuring any other part of your body. Your brain it's an organ. It's susceptible to injury, and it can be permanently altered and damaged by prolonged psychotic reaction to stress, by psychosis. It's like beyond the fucking pale what has occurred in a state facility at the hands of state actors. And it's documented. There is a good fucking reason Judge Gull is holding on, white knuckling those transcripts of Dr. Wallace's testimony, because you know what else? It's not just Dr. Wallace's ass that's in hot water. It's not just Centurion's ass that's in hot water. It's not just the other doctors that were in that April hearing whose ass are in hot water. It's not just fucking DOC that's going to be in trouble and the prosecutor. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, the warden, whatever. Judge Gull allowed her bias to completely blind her to the evidence that the defense provided and put in front of her twice. They filed an emergency safekeeping order in April. She scheduled a due process hearing 2 months later. Either the sheriff lied or the judge lied. We still don't have clarification on that, but somebody fucking lied. But one of them intentionally prevented the defense's witness, an inmate, whistleblower, Baston, who people discredit because he's a piece of shit. Okay. What about the state's witnesses who are all pieces of shit by that standard, right? Like, the rules don't apply. But Judge Gull twice issued orders on safekeeping that kept Rick in a detention environment that violated his due process rights and that consisted of cruel and unusual punishment. Period. So for Judge Gull to immediately vacate the safekeeping order after listening to the witness testimony, sorry, Gull, but you fucked up. Not by vacating it. You just listened to 8 hours of testimony from the psychologist, vacated the safekeeping order, and now you're trying to hide the testimony from the public. And unfortunately, for Gull, you can't do that because Kara and Mark and Maggie literally included in their OA originally that the Supreme Court ruled on. You can't be fucking doing that. It doesn't matter by an agreement of the parties per Jody. Dr. Wallace's transcript will not be made public. It fucking will be, actually. Because the Supreme Court already said you can't be fucking pulling that shit. It doesn't matter if the parties agree to shit. Oh, Brad and Andy agreed to it? Sorry. Public didn't agree to it. That's not how it fucking works. And besides, I don't even believe that for a second, that they would agree to the most damning part of that hearing being kept from the public. Right. I mean, Jesus Christ. Defense attorneys told the judge that DOC failed to provide Allen adequate mental health care during that time. They prioritized his status as a safekeeper who had to be monitored around the clock and in isolation rather than following department guidelines that require inmates, especially those with severe mental illness, from being housed in isolation longer than 30 days. He was in isolation for 19 fucking goddamn months. 19 months. This comes down to whether actions by the state constitute an interrogation and whether he had a right to have his attorneys present, and he, under the Sixth Amendment, and he sure as fuck did, in my opinion. This prison psychologist assigned to treat Richard Allen while he served at Westville testified that she had long been fascinated by the Delphi murders and that she and her boyfriend traveled to Delphi so they could visit the crime scene and stand on the Monon High Bridge prior to learning of Allen's arrest. Nice. Dr. Wallace said she frequently listens to true crime podcasts about Delphi during her commute to Westville. And she's commented on social media about which of the podcasts she recommends. She also admitted that she used her IDOC-issued computer to research other people mentioned as having possible involvement in the murders. I don't know why they're not naming. We got to protect the pedophiles, apparently. The media protects the pedophiles, but fucks the constitutionally innocent pretrial defendants. Way to go, Indiana. Walla testified that she also spoke with Allen about the positive comments that she's read online from his supporters. Asked by Rosie if her actions presented a conflict of interest and ethical problems, she responded, "I disagree." Well, bitch, there you go. You have no business being here. Bye. Gull announced 600 residents will receive jury questionnaires. Here's another thing I want everyone to know. Richard Allen is so small in stature, and Richard Allen has lost so much weight that they have to use female like women's sized handcuffs. Do we see this? This is not so that the pro-state simps can clown on him for having pink handcuffs. This is because this means that this is how tiny Rick. These look like children's handcuffs. Do you see that? Go to. What are you doing? What are you doing? DB, did you notice that Rick's handcuffs are pink here? Did you hear me ranting about that just now? Yeah, look, they're small. I mean, his wrists are fucking tiny, you know? An icy relationship between Judge Gull and Richard Allen's defense team seems to have thawed. Yeah, right. While the climate is Hey, Dan, I take offense to the first statement. While the climate is improving inside the courtroom, Rosie could not catch a break outside the courthouse. He left Tuesday's hearing to discover Carroll County law enforcement had issued him a parking ticket for parking along the courthouse square for more than 2 hours. Nice. Love these guys. I fucking love these guys. I love these guys. They're awesome. Nothing unserious or insane about anybody in Carroll County whatsoever. No way. They're all so normal. They're just like the picture of wellness and normalcy. The picture of normalcy. Wellness, normalcy, whatever. You know when you say a word too many times, it starts to like not sound like a word anymore. Hi, Kit Kats. I like that name, Kit Kat. Scully says the pink cuffs are painted pink to indicate it's not prison or jail cuff, so it's not confused with prison issued. Hope that makes sense. That does make sense. They're still really small, and why are they're pink? How do you know that, Scully? I believe you. I'm not questioning you. I'm just curious. Anyway, regardless, they did warn you that you'd have to move your car every 2 hours or get a ticket. Yeah, that's a reasonable ask, considering that you're in an all-day hearing that you can't leave or else you can't get back in. What is wrong with these people? Good to see you too, Scully. What is fucking wrong with these people? Okay. So fucking stupid. Dude, can you imagine being one of these either of these guys by now? You're probably just like, fuck you. Like every interaction, everything they do, you're just like, fuck you, man. At least that's what I would be feeling. Okay. Moving on. So his condition is worsening. Disorganized thinking accelerated. There's a deposition, page 177 is shown to her. Rick on 518 is in a vegetative state of depression. Janice, mom, is crying. On 522, he's having a psychotic reaction to stress. June 22. Has anybody in the chat ever seen somebody in psychosis? I just want to know. You don't have to, like, if you don't want to share, that's fine. But as a, and I'm not speaking in my official mental health professional capacity here. I have to say that or else someone will fucking come for me and, like, try and get me fired again. They failed the first 5 times. But as a mental health professional, as somebody who has seen and treated patients experiencing delusions with schizophrenia, as a person who has also had people I know in my own life experience schizophrenia, psychosis, delusions, it is so horrible to watch, and then experiencing it on top it's torturous. It's so fucking sad. And it is the most helpless feeling in the world to watch somebody who is psychotic, especially when you have been watching them for you're driving to work listening to your Delphi murder podcasts. You're going to work and you're giving him Man's Search for Meaning and crayons. And for 2 months, you're just watching him sink and deteriorate and disappear. So psychosis is disintegration. It is disintegration of your mind. Your mind is so severely ill. And it's a visible process we can see occurring in like MRIs and CT scans. We can actually see like a brain that it's like similar to a traumatic brain injury. It actually alters your brain. And it is really important that somebody who is gravely disabled and psychotic gets help so that you can interrupt the deterioration, because this is a progressive illness. Psychosis is progressive. Okay, it's progressive and it escalates and it grows more and more severe and more acute as the more time that goes on that you leave a person in psychosis like untreated. It can go on for months. Somebody can be in psychosis for years. It's really sad. Like, this is not. And then on top of that, she's exposing his family members to his psychosis. She's not trying to stabilize him. She's finding him a cordless phone. And she's dialing the number on the phone so that he can make a psychotic utterance confession to his wife, who is already watching somebody in psychosis. We've already established is the most helpless feeling. Can you imagine watching somebody experience, or not watching, but seeing somebody in psychosis who's also might as well be on another planet, distance from you, is so isolated. Like, you couldn't get to them if you wanted to. I mean, no wonder just hearing about his state, like, okay. 5/22/23, psychotic reaction to stress. But this is a diagnosis. This is a diagnosis. Rick was diagnosed with psychosis. Okay. We're going to get to Judge Gold's. Speaking of delusion, we're going to get to Judge Gold's order in a second. But Rick was diagnosed by a psychologist, the lead psychologist at Westville Correctional Facility. They trust her enough to put her in charge of his care and treatment for over a year, but they don't trust her enough to accept her diagnosis of the defendant. That's weird. That doesn't feel like it'll hold up in an appeal at all. In June 2023, his depression is at its peak. He's experiencing physiological symptoms of his acute grave disability, his severe mental illness. Physiological symptoms: trembling, stuttering, knees buckling, eyes bulging. This can be because of if a person is catatonic, if a person is experiencing like extreme PTSD. Regular Haldol injections also can, there's specific syndromes. So he could be experiencing discontinuation syndrome. I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing him. Nobody fucking come for me. Just everybody chill. But one can experience discontinuation syndrome if your SSRIs and other medications are just abruptly stopped, or I don't know if they're experimenting on your medications. You can have really debilitating and sometimes life-threatening syndromes that go along with being on antipsychotic medications for extended periods of time. So what we're seeing could be either symptoms of his grave disability and acute mental illness, his severe mental illness, or could be devastating, harmful side effects of their irresponsible medicating him involuntarily, or a combination of both. Oh, but by July, after the safekeeping hearing, when the world put eyes on him for the first time in months and said, holy shit, this man looks like he's terminally ill. This man looks like a terminally ill cancer patient who's on his last leg of life, is what Rick Allen looked like in June. And wouldn't you know it, after the world got to see what Rick looked like for the first time in a few months and was kind of horrified, he starts to get a little better. Some signs of restoration. They're still having cage sessions in October. Rick is proclaiming his innocence, but he's already sentenced. So Rick spent about 2 April, May, June, July, we don't know, 2 to 4 months experiencing psychosis. Who knows what that entailed and how severe and advanced it was. Probably pretty fucking bad. He comes out of it he's signs of restoration, whatever that means. He'll probably never be the same, but he's certainly not restored to his wellness that he was before this. But in October, he's proclaiming his innocence, but he's already sentenced. Is it possible? I'm asking the chat because I've thought about this. Is it possible that he didn't know that he hadn't actually been sentenced yet? Westville, they're building a new I think they're building a new, yeah, Dan, you're right. They're building a new something. I think they're building a brand new Westville. I don't think, as far as I remember, I don't believe that Rick was saw like active combat. It is a shithole, Dan. You're right. $1 billion. Yeah. So 12 inmates out of 3,000 get regular injections at Westville. In November, Rick is still being taunted and harassed by other inmates. Oh, I'm not sharing these. I don't believe so, Catastrophe. I asked Yellow this question, and she said she didn't hear anything about that being mentioned, but she was just looking him up. Looking up his private records. I don't believe so, but then again, who knows? Nothing would surprise me with this broad. Who knows? But I don't think so. Okay. In November, he's still being taunted. Her notes over time. He had a break, like a psychotic break, a psychotic process occurring in March and June. Diagnosis of psychotic. He was catatonic, disorganized speech, serious mental illness. These are all like verbatim from Dr. Walla's notes. Yeah, thank you, True Grit. I'm glad you're still here. Rosie says he was sent there for his safety, right? As a doctor, don't you agree he met the criteria for severe mental illness? And she says, no doubt. And yet the court says you're safe here. Serious mental illness, 30 days solitary confinement max per Indiana code. Walla acknowledges this, but because of known documented effects of, and that's because of the known documented effects of solitary confinement. Rosie says, well, there's exceptions to that, right? If the inmate is an extreme danger to others, and Walla says, not Rick. Like, nope, that doesn't describe him at all. Rick was in solitary confinement for 12 months. Walla says, yes. Rosie begins to question her about the IPAC versus IDOC settlement lawsuit that we've talked about that expired the day before the hearing for his military medication. Diener says, I object. That's not relevant. And Rosie says, this case is when those policies were born. He provides an offer of proof. Gull allows it. Sections 27, 28, and 29 refer to the DSM-5 or DSM-4, I don't know which one, diagnosis for major depressive disorder. Major depressive disorder is a severe mental illness, and that has been adopted by the court. Shame on you, DOC, you violated rights. Rosie hands Walla a document refreshing her on exceptions to confidentiality. Rick was not informed of this exception. 10-minute break. Janice and Kathy are both crying as the courtroom let out. This is Diener questioning. It's so hard for me to get through like the Diener stuff. I'm going to stop here though for Walla tonight because it's a lot. I'm tired. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's scary to think about what could have been going on and like who's providing oversight, you know? Yes, so sleep deprivation in itself can induce psychosis, period, without a doubt. I mean, you don't need any other underlying mental illness or mental health. You don't have to be predisposed to anything. Just sleep deprivation in general can 100% make someone psychotic. I'm just reading the chat, y'all. Yeah, there's this really serious epidemic of I don't know. The Midwest has really gotten hit hard with pretty much every iteration of the drug epidemic, but what started as like opiate, just like mass killing people. And fentanyl is in everything. I talk about this a lot on Twitter, but I do a lot of harm reduction work in my free time because it's important to me. And if anybody in the chat is interested in obtaining naloxone, Narcan, it is now available over the counter, and you can also get it for free pretty much if you ask nonprofits and harm reduction agencies, they'll just like send you some for free. It's a good thing to have. You never know if you're going to like be at a shopping grocery store and you're walking to your car and you see somebody slumped over in their car in the parking lot and they're experiencing an overdose. You never know. It's just a good thing to have with you. Yeah, sleep. Dan's saying he's had insomnia and it causes anxiety after 3 days or so. Absolutely, it does. For sure, it's like the worst feeling in the world. Meth, heroin, and fentanyl, and pills in Indiana and Ohio. Yeah, the Midwest is just getting like leveled. It's sad. Here in Colorado. Yeah, Colorado has some really evidence-based progressive, but evidence-based more than, I don't like to even say the word progressive because people get weird about it, but Colorado does have some really evidence-based policies when it comes to like criminal justice and drugs. It's cool. I like hearing that. My little sister's a meth addict, heroin addict, alcoholic. It's ruined the most beautiful person I know. Addiction is devastating. Some of the most intelligent, like spirited, kind, wonderful people in the world can succumb to addiction. It's a really, really sad disease. It is a disease, by the way. It's not a moral failing. I think probably everybody in here knows that. Oregon shut off decriminalization. Really? Why? It's a math actor. He doesn't believe in God because he believes in the toaster. Oh no, that's sad. Yeah, I had to hit rock bottom multiple times in order to change. Yeah, the thing that has been so like devastating about the arrival of fentanyl in the United States, or just in general, the existence of fentanyl as it's being used now to contaminate and cut and distribute in other drugs, is that whereas in the past, like Criminal Network and I've talked about, like, I mean, we had back before fentanyl, you could hit rock bottom multiple times. It might not kill you though. You know, now with fentanyl, it's like, it's really, really scary because not everybody has the opportunity to hit rock bottom and survive it. Fentanyl is killing people. It's really scary. Colorado now has legal psychedelic centers. It's not recreational. You can go in for treatment. Yeah, Travis. So I have patients that actually receive like ketamine infusion treatment and things like that. There's a whole lot of really cool things happening in medicine, and it's like I'm glad that medicine is finally catching up with like evidence, you know. Actually, there's been really, really cool research and data and wild success in other countries, specifically Portugal. Granted, Portugal is a lot smaller than the US, but Portugal was like the first country to implement like a national harm reduction overhaul, and they decriminalized illicit drugs and started putting up like safe injection sites, needle exchange. They saw an incredible reduction in the spread of infectious diseases like HIV and hepatitis C and all of those things. It's just better for public health to take care of addiction versus to criminalize it. But oh well, that's kind of how we operate here. Okay, well, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm so glad everyone hung out with me for live part 2. And I guess I'll Irish goodbye and see y'all soon.